So first step is bringing in all the Revit models from the different disciplines here in Navisworks. Then I'll be able to do the clash detection on all the different models. So I'm going to bring in electrical, bring in the mechanical drawing, architecture, plumbing, and structure. And as I open those models, Navisworks is converting those to cached files, so that NWC file extensions, those files will be created. And as you see here, one of the typical things that can happen with different Revit models, if the Revit project base point isn't set properly, you'll have a situation like this, where some of the models aren't at the right elevation. So the architectural model is what sets the position in 3D space. So here under units and transforms, I want to look at the rotation, and I want to look at the X, Y, and Z origin. And then I want to match my other models to that same setting. So my electrical model, units and transforms, I want to make sure the origin is at 0, 0, 0, and that rotation is 35 degrees around the Z. Now I got to fix my mechanical. This particular one, XYZ is fine, rotation is off. If the project base point was set properly in Revit, this wouldn't happen, but this is a good example of what can happen and what can easily be fixed here in Navisworks to get all your models in the proper location. So that architectural model kind of set the standard there of where everything else was located, all the other building systems. And once those all match, now I've got a model that's ready to do either the clash detection like we're going to do here. I can do quantification, so I can do quantity takeoff. I'm going to my architectural model here. I'm going to hide it for now, just so I can see the different building systems in here and just look at the model. And some of the other options I have here in Navisworks, I can go under View, toggle that View cube on and off. I've got a heads-up display. I can show the Revit grids. I can go under Viewport and work with some different visual styles. So we're under the shaded visual style, which is usually the easiest one to work with. If I go under Full Render here, I'll actually get a rendered view. Probably aren't a whole lot of materials and textures on this from Revit, but they would show here at this point. There's a different way to visualize, and then go back to shaded here. In a shaded view, very easy to move around, rotate, work with the model, which is what we're after when we do clash detection like we're going to be doing. So under my selection tree here, I'm going to get everything turned back on, so basically just unhiding that architectural model. And now I'm going to go into my clash detective. So Navisworks Manage is the only version of Navisworks that has clash detection. And as I open up that dialog, click on the top here, and I'm going to add a test. And this will be the settings for the clash. And I could name it something different here. So let's say we want to look at clashes of the structural versus the mechanical, the framing versus ductwork, let's say. So on the left side here, I choose which model. Or I could drill down and just do particular levels, different floors of the building. Here I'll just run both. So I'm going to look at the complete structural model from Revit and the complete mechanical. And then we'll compare the two. I'm going to do a hard clash. Notice the tolerance is very small there, 0.001 meters. And I just click on Run Test. And as you can see here, very quick. Found a lot of clashes. So my first clash here, I can see two building elements. So I can go in the bottom of my list here and see exactly what type of objects those are. So I scroll down on the mechanical side, it's a rectangular duct. And on the left side, it's a wall. Pretty typical in a Revit model, in a wall, architectural wall, you're not going to be modeling a small hole in there. So those are going to show up, and that's something you would typically filter through. Here's one that might be a little more useful. So we've got a structural beam going through a pipe. And again, I can go down mechanical here, see what type of pipe that is. And on the structural side, that it was a beam. So on the right side there gives you a visual of each clash as you click through it. And I expand this out. We have some display settings. And it's just things like setting what color, if you want to hide the other objects that aren't part of the clash. Really just different ways to look at the model to really see where the issue is. And then now the trades can coordinate this. So the beam or the pipe, of course the pipe would move in this instance. I could go under assign here. I could sign a particular project member and put some notes in here. So that's their responsibility to make the change. So the collaborative part of this is we've got all the models here together. A report would be developed showing all these different clashes. So the idea here is before actual construction begins, we've found all these different issues that have come up. And of course, this model has a lot of clashes, just so we could see it in the sample here. And another example here of a duct going through a structural member. Now when I actually want to run a report, there's a few different types. I'll do the HTML tabular form. And I'm basically telling it, with everything listed in the contents there, that I want a full report. So create a folder here. And again, just be an HTML file. I'm going to be able to open that up in Internet Explorer or any web browser and take a look at it. And the clash report will give me a folder that has all the images showing the clashes. So I've got 18 total clashes here. And then the actual HTML file that brings in those images and then gives me the distance of the clash, the grid location back in Revit, the item ID or element ID number from Revit, what level it was on. It's quite a bit of information. So this could be a document that could then be shared across all the project members, and then collaboration can then be marked off and the models updated in Revit, brought back in, and the clash rerun.